Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back. Today's daf is Taanis Yud Ches. We are up to Yud Zayin Amud Beis, 1, 2, 3 lines from the bottom of the Amud. Amar Mar, let's go back and review what we learned yesterday. The Gemara gave us a brief excerpt of Megillas Taanis, which contains a list of Yomim Tovim established by Chachamim to celebrate various Nisim and happy occasions. We had two examples which were cited in the Gemara. The first one was the period between Aleph and Ches Nisan, due to the fact that during that time the Korban Tamid was properly reinstated. Then we have from Ches Nisan until the end of Pesach, that was celebrated due to the fact that they prevailed over the Baisusim who sought to disrupt the proper arrangement of Shavuos. Says the Gemara, Omar Mar, let's review. Mitmanya Bey Atsoif Mayada, from Ches Nisan until the end of Pesach, Itoisav Chaga de Shavuaya, Chaga Shavuos was properly re-established, as opposed to the Baisusim who insisted that it always falls out on a Sunday to give us that extra long weekend like Rashi brought. No, Chachamim prevailed. They proved from the Psukim Shavuos is exactly 49, 50 days after Pesach, irrelevant of the day of the week. And therefore we celebrate it in a manner of Deloy Lemispad. We refrain from not only Taanis, which would reflect a lower level Yom Tov, but also a Hesped. Eulogy is not conducted on that day. So that's the occasion. Ches Nisan until the end of Pesach. Asks the Gemara, Lomali Atzoif Moyed. Why even mention that it stretches until the end of Pesach? Throughout that period you don't have Hesped or Taanis. Lema, rather it should say Ad HaMoyed. From Ches Nisan until Pesach you refrain from Hesped or Taanis due to this time of celebration. Leave out Pesach. You know why? It's unnecessary. Umayid Gufa Yom Tov v'Asr. Either way, Pesach is a Yom Tov min HaTorah. You don't do Hesped or Taanis. So leave it out of the list. Amar Papa, K'da Amar Rav, just as Rav tells us yesterday. We had a similar kasha regarding the other occasion, which stretched from Aleph until Ches Nisan. Aleph Nisan, in any case, that's Rosh Chodesh. It's Moyed. You don't fast or have Taanis or Hesped. Why does the Megillas Taanis have to include it in the Yemei Megillas Taanis? What did Rav tell us? Kedama Rav, le'nitzracha. The point is, Ella le'esar yom shelafanav. The gain is for the day prior to Aleph Nisan, as we explained yesterday, because a Yom Tov min HaTorah does not cover the day before or after. It doesn't need chizuk, it doesn't need reinforcement. Only the actual Yom Tov is asur, but not before or after, as opposed to the various occasions established by Chazal in Megillas Taanis in order to give that chizuk, to lend that importance. We include the days before or perhaps even after. Sure, Aleph Nisan is Rosh Chodesh and is Asr B'Taanis. What about the day prior to Aleph Nisan? That would not be included. The fact that it was included in the Yom of Megillas Taanis, we celebrated due to the Korban Tamid that was reinstated. Now it has a new identity. It's Yom Tov Midrabanan, and now it extends past the day itself. It covers the day before as well. So that's the added gain and benefit of mentioning Aleph Nisan in the Yomim Tovim of Megillas Taanis. Not for the day itself, to the day before. The only need is Ela Esar Yom Shelafanav, to cover the day before. Hachanami Lenitzrucha here as well. This is the answer to our question. From Ches Nisan until after Pesach, we celebrate the reinstatement of Shavuos. Why mention Pesach, which in any case is a Yom Tov? The Chiddush is Elo le'esor Yom Shel Achrav. It's going to cover the day following this period of celebration. Sure, Pesach itself is a Yom Tov on its own. That only covers the day itself. How do you extend it to the day after Pesach? That only happens because it's part of Megillas Taanis. So you couldn't say the day before, because the day before is, in any case, the period between Ches until Nisan. The reason why we mentioned until Pesach, the reason why we mentioned Pesach was to cover the day afterwards as well. is Ruchak. Command Rabbi Yossi. Okay, so you're following Rabbi Yossi's Shita, the Amar Bein Lefanav Bein La'acharav Aser. You may recall back in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yossi's Shita was, this was opposed to Rabbi Meir, who says that the Yom Tov, even a Yom Tov, the Rabbana never extends into the day past the Yom Tov. Rabbi Yossi held, no. We make it a real serious occasion, a serious event. It covers the day before and after. Your teretz follows Rabbi Yossi. Mentioning it in Megillas Taanis adds significance, adds the day following. Okay, that's good. But let's see if it works. If that's the case. Be'esrim v'tisha nami. Let's go back to the other question. We celebrate Aleph Tel Ches Nisan because of the reinstatement of the Tamid, Itoikim Tamida. Why mention Aleph Nisan, which is Rosh Chodesh? Answer, to include the day before Rosh Chodesh, which will be included in that event. The day before Rosh Chodesh is Chav Tes Adar. Well, guess what? Chav Tes Adar, in any case, would be celebrated, would be included in the restriction of Hesped V'Taanis. You know why? Not necessarily because it's a day before Rosh Chodesh or day before Aleph Nisan, which is celebrated, but rather because it's a day following Chav Ches Adar, which in itself was a Yom Tov of Megillas Taanis. If that's the case, we're following Rabbi Yossi, that those Yom Tovim extend forward as well. What about 29 Adar? My area, why do you have to come onto the fact that Yoma de Mekami? Yoma, it's the day before the day of the Mitukam Tmida. It's the day before Aleph Nisan, where the Karban Tamid was reestablished. Typically, it turns out that you don't need that. In any case, it's a Yom Tov. Chav Tes Adar is the day following 28 Adar, which in any case is a Yom Tov by its own right. The Sanya. What happened on Chav Ches Adar? Good news arrived to the Jews. They don't have to budge, move away from the Torah. So before we get into the full account of what happened here, the Gemara's kasha is, why mention Aleph Tel Ches Nisan? Aleph Nisan is Rosh Chodesh. In any case, it's a Yom Tov. The answer was, Rosh Chodesh only covers itself. The fact that Aleph Nisan is included in Megillas Taanis, it's going to cover the day before as well. Chav Ches Adar? In any case, it's covered. It's already been covered, because it's the day after Chav Ches Adar, which is a Yom Tov. So what happened here? Shpamachas nigzer gezer al Yisrael. So it happens that there was a decree, anti-religious decree, decreed by the Romans on Yisrael. Shlo ya'asku b'Torah, they can't learn Torah. V'shelo yimulus b'neim, they can't do Milah. V'shechalu Shabbosos, they can't keep Shabbos. Ma'asa Yehuda ben Shama v'chaverav. What did they do to counter the Gzera? Holchu v'notlu eitza. They went to seek advice. Mimatronis achas, from this Roman noblewoman, Shekol Gedoyle Roimi Mitzun Etzla, where all the Roman officers frequent. Amarlam, so she was familiar with their ins and outs and the process and the method how to reach them. Amarlam, she gave them the following advice: Imdu v'fkinu b'layla, go out and demonstrate at night, when your voices will be heard, and hopefully you'll be successful. They went out and demonstrated at night the disrupted life. And they said, Amru, Ei Shemaim, for the sake of Hashem. That's a Rashi in Rosh Hashanah. Rashi over here says, they were addressing Hashem. Look Hashem, look what they're doing. And then they turned to the Romans, so to speak, and they said, Lo Yachem Anachnu, aren't we brothers? Esav and Yaakov. Lo B'nei Av Echad Anachnu. Don't we have the same father, Yitzchak? Lo B'nei Eim Achas Anachnu. The same mother, Rivka. Marsha explains, aren't we brothers? That was connected to the Isra of learning Torah. The Torah puts you in good light. Torah says, Lo Yisayv Adoimi. Don't reject the Adoimim completely. So look, the Torah is in your favor. Aren't we the sons of the same father, Yitzchak, who had bris milah? How can you prohibit us from bris milah. The same mother who kept Shabbos. Chazal say, the Ner Shabbos was doilik a whole week. Rivka kept Shabbos. So what's going on? Why are you giving us such a hard time? Manish tanenum koluma veloshin. Why are we different than all other nations? Shatem goizrim aleinu gzeres rois. That you make such bad gzeres against us. Ubitlam. And they were successful. The Romans cancelled the gzera. Voisa yom on that day, which was Chav Ches Adar, asu Yom Tov. They turned it into a Yom Tov. Okay, so Chav Ches Adar is already a Yom Tov, which covers the day afterwards as well. Rabbi Yossi holds it goes forward. So Chav Ches Adar is already covered by this Yom Tov. It doesn't need to be covered by any other Yom Tov, like Aleph Nisan. Amar Abai L'Nitzrucha. Ela Chodesh Mubar. What about a leap month? Well, you have 30 days in the month of Adar. In that case, the day before Rosh Chodesh is Lamed. The day before Aleph Nisan is Lamed. It is not covered by Chav Ches. It's 2 days after Chav Ches. It wouldn't be Asur Behesped. Oh, but now that Aleph till Ches Nisan is a new Yom Tov, it covers Lamed Adar as well. So typically you're right. The day before Rosh Chodesh is Chav Tes, which is already covered by Chav Ches. But a Chodesh Me'uber, then you need the additional advantage. The fact that you have a new Yom Tov, Aleph Nisan, which covers Lamed Adar. Rav Ashi Amar, Filo Temi L'Chodesh Chaser. Let's speak about a typical month, a 29-day month Adar. And the reason why we need to mention Aleph Nisan as a Yom Tov in order to cover the previous day as well, Chav Tes Adar, which is in any case covered by Chav Ches Adar. Today after Chav Ches, the answer is it's not really covered completely. Kol Shel Achar, because you're meant to know. The day itself, the Yom Tov itself is Asur Behesped V'Taanis. True. But any day other than the Yom Tov itself, suppose the day before or the day after, has restrictions. We don't fast. But we're not machmer so much. We don't give it the din of the actual Yom Tov itself. Hesped is mutter. Kol Shel Achar, any day following a Yom Tov. And Rashi learns, likewise, preceding a Yom Tov. But Taanis, Asur Behesped mutter. Although it has limitations and restrictions, only Taanis, you don't fast. But Hesped is mutter. That's typically. V'zeh, as opposed to this case, Chav Tes Adar, which is sandwiched between two Yom Tovim. It's ahead of Chav Ches Adar, and it's behind Aleph Nisan. That gets additional ma'ala, additional status. V'zeh hoylu muto ben shnei Yom Tovim. Chav Tes Adar, since it's situated between two Yom Tovim, on the one side, Chav Ches Adar. On the other hand, Aleph Nisan, Asuk Yom Tov Atzmai, we regard it like the actual Yom Tov, V'afilu Hesped Nami Asur. In which case, we're forbidden from doing Hesped, even Hesped, on this day. That's the answer to your question. True. Chav Tes Adar in any case would be covered by Chav Ches Adar, because it's the day following a Yom Tov. But in that case, it's only Asur B'Taanis. But now that we added a new Yom Tov, Aleph till Ches Nisan, because of the Karban Tamid, turns out that Chav Tes Adar is now sandwiched between two Yom Tovim. It gets additional chumros. It's regarded like one big Yom Tov, one big event, with the days prior and following. Okay, so we had a kasha. Why bother mentioning Aleph Nisan, which in any case is Rosh Chodesh? The answer was to cover 29 Adar. Well, 29 Adar is covered in any case. The day following Chav Ches Adar, which was a Yom Tov established by Yehuda V'Shamua when they prevailed over the Romans. And Vatal D'Gzir. Two answers. Either a leap month, so Lamed Adar is not covered by Chav Ches Adar. Rather, because it's the day before Aleph Nisan. Second teretz, we want it to be situated between two Yom Tovim to give it additional restrictions, additional ma'ala. Amamar. Let's go back to that occasion of Ches Nisan to the end of Pesach. Mitemanya be'vatzoif mayada. What happened between Ches Nisan and the end of Pesach? Itoisav Chaga de Shvu'aya. That's when Shavuos was properly reinstated. And therefore we celebrated the Leila Mispah, we don't do Hesped. Ask the Gemara, why mention Ches Nisan? Leima B'Tisha B'Av. Start from 9 of Nisan. Why? B'Timani Gufi Aser. In any case, 8 Nisan was already covered. The Havala Yoimidi took him Beit Midah. It was included in the previous Yom Tov. Remember, from Aleph to Ches Nisan was the Tamid celebration. So you have Ches Nisan covered. Why do you need a double identity? 2 reasons for celebration. It's part of the first Yom Tov, and it's the beginning of the second Yom Tov. And says the Gemara, maybe one of these Yom Tovim will come cancelled. In which case it's good to have 2 reasons to celebrate. Even if one is cancelled, the other one is still intact. Given the Ilu Mikla Milsa, suppose something would happen, Gzera, which will prompt the Chachamim to cancel that Yom Tov. Ubatline l'shiva. Not only will they cancel that day of the Gzera Chas v'Shalom, but the entire set, the entire celebration, all 7 days will become cancelled. For instance, let's say this Chag HaTamid, let's call it the Chag HaTamid, will become cancelled. So the whole system, from 1 till 8, gets cancelled. Farshim say, the Kedusha gets cancelled, the Yom Tov gets cancelled, and it's all one unit. All 7, 8 days are one unit. So all 7 have to be cancelled. So typically you would cancel all 8 days, right? It's from 1 till 8 of Nisan. The answer is no. The 8th of Nisan still has another reason for celebration. It's part of the second Yom Tov, which starts at 8 and ends after Pesach, because of the Chag HaShavuos celebration. Dilu Mikla Milsa, if something Lo Yaleinu will occur, which will prompt them to be Mavatal, Batlina L'Shiva, to nullify the first Yom Tov, so you would cancel the 7-day celebration, but the 8th day would still remain intact because of the other Yom Tov. Tamani Gufi Aser, the 8th day would still remain Aser. Aser Behesped V'Taanis, still part of the next celebration, the Havala Yom HaKameh, because the first day of the next occasion. The Taisa B'Chag HaShavuos, the Chag HaShavuos celebration. Answers the Gemara. Listen to this. But now, you have another answer to your first kasha. Now, that you've come up with this teretz regarding 8th of Nisan, you need a double reason for celebration. Just in case one falls by the wayside, you have the other one. Let's get back to that other kasha. The 29th of Adar, even if it's not the day before Rosh Chodesh, the day before Aleph Nisan, even if that's not a reason for celebration, it's already covered because it's a day after Chav Ches Adar. Why do you need 2 reasons to celebrate? The answer is, cover all the bases just in case. If perhaps something will happen, and the Yom Tov taking place on 28 Adar would become batal for some reason, will be usurped by some other decree or hardship, Chas v'Shalom, but that wouldn't affect 29 Adar, because that in itself would be Asr. The Havala Yom, the Mekame Yom, they took him to Midah, because it's still the day before Aleph Nisan, which we celebrate because the Tamid was reinstated. So bottom line is we have 3 Terutzim to our Kash. Let's just go back for a second. We had 2 occasions from Megillas Taanis that we mentioned. From Aleph till Ches Nisan, Itoikam Temida, from Ches Nisan until after Pesach, Itoikam Chag HaShavuos. Question was, Aleph Nisan, in any case, is celebrated because it's Rosh Chodesh. The answer is to cover the day before as well, which is unique, a unique feature to the Yom Tovim of Megillas Taanis because of the Rabbanon. We want to turn them into a significant event. 1 second. Chav Tes Adar is after Chav Ches Adar, which in itself is a Yom Tov. So it's automatically covered. It's Yom Shala Achri Chav Ches. 3 Terutzim. A leap month. So Lamed Adar is not covered by Chav Ches. It's only covered because it's the day before Aleph Nisan. Rav Ashi's teretz. Typically, unless it's the actual Yom Tov, there's no Isser of Hesped, only Taanis, not Hesped. Chav Tes Adar is sandwiched between Chav Ches Adar, 1 Yom Tov on one side, Aleph Nisan, another Yom Tov on the other, and therefore there's Isser not only Taanis, but also Hesped. It's treated like the Yom Tov itself. Third teretz. Suppose one Yom Tov gets cancelled for some reason. The other one still remains intact, and therefore Chavtes Adar will still have significance. Now in the Mishnah, you may remember we had two shittas regarding the Yamim, Lefnei and La'achrei. So the day itself we celebrate. Either it's Asr Taanis, or if that Yom Tov is meant to memorialize a more momentous occasion, more momentous nes, then it achieves an even higher status. We don't do Hesped and Taanis. What about the days before or after? So the Mishnah had two shittas. Rabbi Meir maintains the lower level Yom Tov, which only has Isra of Taanis, doesn't include day before or after. The higher level Yom Tov, which is an Isra of Hesped as well, that spills over to the day before. Because it might lead into the Yom Tov, might get confused, but not the day after. Once it's over, it's over. It's Rabbi Meir. So Yom Shalafanav is Asr by the Yom Tov which has Isra Hesped. Rabbi Yossi takes it a notch higher. When there's Isra Taanis, lower level Yom Tov, it includes even the day prior. When it's an Isra Hesped as well, it's a higher level celebration, that includes the day before and after. Who do we paskin like? So actually we're going to have another two shittas in the Gemara for a total of 4 shittas regarding days before or after. Itmar, Rabbi Yehuda Kessler Marav, Halach Rabbi Yossi, you follow Rabbi Yossi, which again is that a day which is Asr B'Tanis will cover the day before as well. Isra B'Hesped as well, that covers the day before and after. Ushmuel Amar, Halach Rabbi Meir, we pass like Rabbi Meir, who takes it down a notch. When there is Isra Taanis, it's only the day of. Isra Hesped, the day before as well. Umi Amar Shmuel Hachi, is that so? That Shmuel follows Rabbi Meir? Vatanya. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel Leimer. Uma Tamad Leimer. Behind shtei pam. If they look at Megillas Taanis, the nusach there is the loy lisana behind. You'll see it in yesterday's daf, right at the first wide line. The loy lisana behind. Some of them do mispat behind. The word behind is accentuating something. It's stressing. Why repeat behind? Shtei pa'am. Says the Gemara, lo imlach to tell you. Shein asur. Only the day itself is included in the restrictions. Lifneim, lachrei mutar, but not the days before or after. So according to Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, there's no difference between the standard Yom Tovim throughout the year, which are Manat Torah, which only cover the day of. The Rabbanans were not more chamer, they only cover the day of. V'amar Shmuel, halach Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. Shmuel follows this shita. We don't cover days before or after. And here we see that Shmuel follows Rabbi Meir, who covers the day before as well. Mikara Savar, initially Shmuel held, see, he was looking for the most lenient shita when it comes to fasting. He wanted to be mekel. So initially he figured Rabbi Meir was the most lenient shita, because in contrast to Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Meir was mekel. Mikara Savar, initially he figured, keeping the leka Tana de mekel Rabbi Meir, Omal Rabbi Meir, he figured there's no Tana that's more lenient or as lenient as Rabbi Meir. So he says halach Rabbi Meir. But given the Shamel Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, they make it. Once he got word of the fact that there's a new shita, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, who's even more mekel. At the limit, the restrictions only applies to the Yom Tov itself and not before or after. In this case, of course, he followed that shit. He adopted Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Amar lochak Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. V'chein Amar Bali. Bali was the name of a chacham, Rashi says. So he weighed in on the topic and he said, Amar B'chi bar Abba, or Rabbi Yechon, loch Rabbi Yossi. So we're machman like Rabbi Yossi. Amar Rabbi Chia la Bali. So Bali was quoting Rabbi Chia. Rabbi Chia turns around to Bali and he says to him, I'll explain to you what I meant. I'll explain to you what Rabbi Yechon meant. Ki Amar Rabbi Yechon, loch Rabbi Yossi. You know what Rabbi Yechon meant when he said loch Rabbi Yossi? He didn't mean all the way. It was in a limited fashion. Adeloy lisano. It means like this. You see, Rabbi Meir holds that a day which has Isra Taanis, that's a lower level Yom Tov, will not cover the day other than the Yom Tov itself. Not lefanav, not lachar. Only the day itself is Asr. as opposed to a Yom Tov, which includes Isser Hesped as well. It's a higher level of celebration that includes Yom Shalafanav. That's Rabbi Meir's Shita. Rabbi Yehuda held, you know what? Irrelevant of whether it's an Isser Taanis or Isser Hesped, this type of Yom Tov, that type of Yom Tov, it's always going to cover the day before as well. The day prior to that Yom Tov is included. So in this aspect, he was adopting Rabbi Yosef's Shita, who held that even a Yom which is Asr B'Tanis is Asr the day before as well. But that's all he meant. This is sort of a new Shita, a compromise Shita. Irrelevant whether it's this type of Yom Tov or that type of Yom Tov, Isser B'Tanis or even Isser B'Hesped, it's only going to cover the Yom Shalafana. So it's like a cross between Rabbi and Rabbi Yossi. That's all he meant. He didn't mean mamash like Rabbi Yossi, that a Yom which is Asr B'Tanis will cover not only Yom Shalafana, even Yom Shalachar. No, once the Yom Tov is over, it's over. When he said like Rabbi Yossi, he meant in this aspect that a Yom which is Asr B'Tanis, I want to include the day before as well. So bottom line is, according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's always going to include the day before, whether it's a Yom Isser Taanis or a Yom Asr B'Hesped. Okay, so in summary, we have 4 shitas. So we're speaking about the Yomim listed in Megillas Taanis. There are 2 levels of Yom Tovim. Some are Asr only B'Tanis. Sometimes you have a Yom which is Asr even B'Hesped. Now we're discussing the Isser pertaining to days before or after. And of course, as the Gemara points out, typically, unless it's the day itself, so meaning before or after, we'll never have Isser Hesped. It's certainly limited in its scope. At most, it's Isser Taanis, unless it's sandwiched between 2 Yom Tovim. Okay. But typically, it's only an Isser Taanis. So when does that apply? When is there an Isser Taanis Lefanav V'La'achrav? Therefore, she does. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel is very mekel. It's always mutter. Irrelevant of whether it's an Isser Taanis or Yom that has an Esped, the day itself, but that's it. According to Rabbi Meir, a Yom Tov which has Isser Taanis, then Lefanav V'La'achrav is mutter. A Yom Tov which even has Isser Hesped, a higher level Yom Tov, and Lefanav is Asr as well. V'La'achrav is mutter. Rabbi Yossi picks it up a notch. When it's a lesser Yom Tov, which only has Isser Taanis, then Lefanav is Asr. This way it doesn't spill into the Yom Tov. But La'achar, once the Yom Tov is over, that's it. The higher level Yom Tov, which has Isser Hesped, in that case we say, it covers both sides. Lefanav La'achar is also Asr. Rabbi Yehuda struck a compromise. In either case, it's always going to be Lefanav Asr, because it might spill into the Yom Tov. But La'achar is mutter. There's a big kasha in the Gemara. Kasha posed by Tosfos. We paskin, Rabbi Yehuda paskins, Lefanav is Asr. Now, amongst the days of Megillas Taanis, we have Purim, Chanukah and Purim. How can we fast the day before Purim? Taanis Esser is the day before the Yom Tov. Lefanav is Asr. I saw several pshatim, many mefarshim, seek to answer this kasha. The Meir says it's very different. He says Taanis Zeh of Megillah of Taanis Esther is Taanis Shel Simcho, the time of celebration, to celebrate Hashem's Hashgacha Pratis. We re-experience their hardship, which ended up being a blessing in disguise. It ended up coming to a nace, to Yeshua, and that's what we're celebrating. And he says it's so different than your typical Taanis, which is meant to evoke sorrow and sadness. The Meiri writes further, he says it's Yesh Bo Yisrach Tefillah Upirsam Hanes Litin Bo Yishhidah V'Shevach Der Bo Ro'elam Al Nisim Al Gvuros. Just like they called out to Hashem, and Hashem responded to them, Divrei Hatzomim Tzakosam. The Kolboy writes a beautiful word. He says, why is Taanis Esther different? Lefi Sheloi Neser Ela Taanis Shel Tsar. The Isser only applies to a Taanis of sorrow, of Tsar. Aval Taanis Shel Oisin, what we do is Einoi Ela Lezecher a Taanis Esther. V'sheyizkur kol a person should be mindful. Hashem observes, he listens, he pays attention, he's aware of what every person is going through. V'shemei kol ish be'isarasa kasher yis'ana v'yoshev elav b'chol levaveh kasher asa laveseinu ba'yom mahem b'zman hazeh. B'rkei Yosef, the Ran, many Mefarshim pretty much work along the same route. Taanis Esther is so different than a regular Taanis, which is meant to bring tsar, and that's not appropriate when it's in such close proximity to the Yom Tov. Here it's just a re-experiencing of what they went through. Of course, we're meant to do tshuva, etc. We're meant to take a lesson from them, but it's leading into happy occasion. Purim is coming, so this is so different, and therefore it's allowed. Okay, continues the Gemara. 2 lines from the bottom of the Amud. Is that so that Rabbi Yechon holds that a day prior to a Yom Tov is us? Rabbi Yechon himself says we want to follow the anonymous Mishnah. And we have a Mishnah in Megillah as follows, Asnan. Although we speak about sometimes advancing Kriyas HaMegillah for various reasons discussed in Bez Hashem coming up in Maseches Megillah. So although we advance Kriyas HaMegillah, we read it on days before Purim for whatever reason, Mutar and Besver V'Tanis. But really, those days aren't really Yomim Tovim to the extent that they have to be celebrated with Isser Hesper V'Tanis. No, you read the Megillah, but it's still not a Yom Tov. So that's the Mishnah Megillah. Let's try to figure out what day we're speaking about. What day in Adar are we reading the Megillah and still we can do Hesper V'Tanis? Let's go through the list. So the possible dates for Kriyas HaMegillah ranges from Yud Aleph Adar all the way to Tesvav. Let's go through one by one. Emas, Ilim B'nei Chamesa. We're speaking about the ones living in the walled cities who are meant to read the Megillah on the 15th of Adar, and for whatever reason, Kikar live our base, they're reading on the 14th. So they're advancing Kriyas HaMegillah, but they don't have to celebrate. They can do Hesped? Absolutely not. 14 and 15 Adar, in any case, are days of celebration. Those are the Ika Yimei Purim. Umi Yishari, how can you do Hesped on that day? Oksiv Megillah's Taanis. Take a look at Megillah's Taanis itself. It says, Yom Arba Asar Boi V'Yom Chamisha Asar Boi Yom Purai Nun. 14 and 15 Adar are Yimei Purim. The Loilu Mispad Boin. You don't do Taanis, you don't do Hesped. The Yimei Mishta V'Simcha. V'Amarav and Rav explained, Lo Nitzrucha, the Chiddush here is not on the day that you actually celebrate. Of course, that's Purim. The Chiddush is even if you're not really celebrating. Ela Lesa Eshel Zeh B'Zeh. You're coming to add another element to Purim. Even if you're in a walled city, your Purim is 15 of Adar. Shel Zeh B'Zeh. Day 14 is also for you as well. You have to celebrate along with the other people. V'Shel Zeh B'Zeh. And for the members living in the unwalled cities who celebrate 14, they consider 15 as Yom Tov as well. So 14 and 15 is the crux of Purim. You don't tinker with it. Of course it's Asa B'Hesed V'Tanis. Ella, let's look for other options. Ve'ela B'nei Abbas. I was speaking about a fellow who was meant to read the Megillah on 14, and for some reason, reads it on the 13th. Okay, so you read it, but you can do Hesed V'Tanis. It's not a Yom Tov. It's not a Yom Tov. It's also a Yom Tov. Yom Niknaru. We're going to see soon there was a nace that happened, and it was called Yom Niknar. It's one of the days of Maseches Taanis, Megillah's Taanis. So I could do Hesped. Next option. Let's go to day 12 of Adar. Vela B'nei Arbesa. Apparently we're speaking about a 14 fellow. V'kakar le B'treisa. I'll read the Megillah on 12. So he reads it, but he can do Hesped. It's not a day of Yom Tov. Sure is. Yom Tiraynasu. That was another Yom Tov. Elalav, the only option left is Yud Aleph Adar. He's reading the Megillah for some reason on 11. What does the Mishnah say? Even though we are marked in Megillah, but it's not a Yom Tov, you could do Hesped V'Tanis. What do you mean? According to Rabbi Yehuda, a day preceding a Yom Tov has the same restrictions. Is Asur B'Tanis. Yud Aleph Adar is a day before a Yom Tov. Which Yom Tov? Yom Tiraynis, which falls out on Yud Beis Adar. Well, he says the word no. Actually, we could be speaking about Yud Beis Adar, and it's not really a Yom Tov anymore. It got cancelled. B'nei Arbeis Arba, so we're speaking about a fellow who was meant to read the Megillah on the 14th of Adar. Because korale betreser, circumstance requires him to read it on 12 of Adar. So you read it, but you don't have to celebrate. It's mutter behesped v'tanis. But the Ka'amers Yom Tiraynis, you had a question, well, what do you mean? Yud Beis Adar is a Yom Tov, Yom Tiraynis. That was long cancelled. Yom Tiraynis Gufe, Betuli Batlu. They were cancelled it. Hoyel v'nergu bo Shima v'achi achiv. Shima v'achiv, what Tzadikim Rashi says, they were killed in that day. So that cancelled the Yom Tov. Okay, so everything works. On the one hand, Rabbi Yechon says, a day preceding a Yom Tov is included in the Isra of the Yom Tov, in the celebration of the Yom Tov. On the other hand, we say, the Mishnah says, at times you modify the Yom Kriyas HaMegillah, but you can still do Hesped Taanis. How's that? You have two choices, two options. Yud Aleph or Yud Beis Adar. These aren't days of celebration. Kiyah, like we find in the following story, that Rav Nachman goes to Taanis. Rav Nachman established a Taanis, but Teresa, there was some sort of tzara they were going through. He made a Taanis on Yud Beis Adar. Unrelated Rabban turned to him, Yom Tiraynisu. What do you mean? It's a Yom Tov. Amalu Yom Tiraynis Guve Batlu Batlu. It's been cancelled. Hoyel v'nergu bo Shima v'achi achav. Ask the Gemara. Okay, so Yud Beis Adar has been cancelled. Well, remember, Yud Gimel Adar is Yom Niknar. Now, Yud Beis Adar is the day before Yom Niknar and should be also B'tanis. It turns out to have a Yom Shalafnei Niknar. How can you say Yud Beis is not to be celebrated? Fine. Yom Tiraynis was bottled, but it's still a day before 13, which is Yom Niknar. Amar Rav Ashi, listen to this chap. Hash te iyu gufe. But Lu, if they were vatal, the Yom Tov on that day itself, because of the tzara that happened, Shimon v'Achia that were killed, Mishum Yom Niknar, Nekem v'Nigzar. How can you say that it's still meant to be celebrated because it's the day that precedes, that leads into the next day, Yom Niknar? It loses its own chashivas. It loses its own Yom Tov status by its own right. And of course, it cannot be considered a day of celebration because it's an error of Yom Tov. If the Iker is bottled and the Tafel is bottled, and therefore it's not considered a day of celebration. My Tiraynis. So what exactly happened in Yom Tiraynis and Yom Niknar? The Sanya. Niknar Echad, my Niknar or my Tiraynis? What exactly happened during these 2 days? The Sanya Niknar, that was his name. Echad Ma Parcha Yevanim Haya. He was one of the dukes, one of the Greek dukes. Every day, he was wave his hands in haughtiness towards Yehuda, towards Yerushalayim. V'ayman, you declare, when is this city, when is this country going to fall in my hands? I'm going to trample it with my feet. This is during the time of Chanukah, when the kings of Hashmonai were victorious. So they grabbed a hold of this fellow who spoke so disparagingly, so disrespectfully about Eretz Yisrael and Yerushalayim. Katzutzu b'hoinish yadav b'raglo. He removed his thumbs and his large toes. V'tolam b'shar Yerushalayim, and they displayed it along the gates of Yerushalayim. V'armon, they said, Peh Shayim Medaber b'gava. They hung up his head as well, and they said, look, this mouth that spoke with haughtiness against Hashem, v'yadayim Shayim manifest Yerushalayim, those hands, those thumbs, those yadayim that were waving on Yerushalayim, Taas v'hem nekama, revenge will be exacted on them. So that day was a day of celebration. That was a day of Yud Gimel B'Adar. Now apparently this Niknar fellow lived after the famous Niknar who donated those doors to the Beis HaMikdash. Otherwise, hard to believe that he would have taken on the name, adopted the name of a Russia. The Gemara Yuma says, Shem Rishayim Yirkov, Rakvivus Tala B'Shmoisam, not meant to adopt the name of a Russia. So that Niknar, a Jewish Niknar, lived way before this Niknar who lived towards the end of Bayis Sheni during the time of Chanukah. Okay, my Tiraynis, what happened there? The story went as follows. Kshebi Kish Tiraynis Laharik, Es Lolinos Upapus. this Rasha Taanis wanted to kill Linus and Pappus, Achiv, his brother, two brothers, Belutke in the town of Lutke. So what exactly happened? The Gemara doesn't go into detail, but Rashi does. So Rashi here is pretty much off to the left. Linus and Pappus, Achiv, they were tzaddikim Gemurim hayu, Belutke. That's the town of Lut. And they were tzaddikim, and they gave up their lives for Klal Yisrael. The Gemara says, "Haruge Lud, these people who were killed in Lud, ein kol bria yechayla lamed b'chtisasim gan Eden." You can't get near to them in Gan Eden. They're on the highest level. What happened? Some say the story was as follows: Shenergu al bitay shel melech shenimtzes haruga. They found a princess dead, and of course they blamed the Jews. First blood libel. V'amra Yehudim argua. Jews are to blame. V'gazru gzir al sinei Yisrael. They made a gzera. They're going to kill out all the Jews. And these two fellows came forth, upado es Yisrael, and they saved the rest of Yisrael. V'amar, they said, anon ragnu, they took responsibility. We killed her. V'harag hamelech le'el bavad, and the king just killed them and spared the rest. And the big kasha, how can they do that? How can they go ahead and volunteer to get killed? Is the person allowed to do that? Says the Chazon Ish, yes. They were just trying to save the rest of Klal Yisrael. It was a Maaseh Hatzalah. Perhaps you can add that in this case, they would have been killed in any case. The Gzera was applied to all equally. So when they came forth, although they were risking, perhaps torture, etc., but at the end of the day, instead of everybody getting killed, they saved the rest by just allowing themselves to be killed, taking the blame. See, there's really a kasha because there's a mission in Trumos, and there's a Rishalmi that applies it to this type of case. Goyim threaten a group of Jews. Hand over one person so we can kill him, otherwise we'll kill all of you. The Mishnah, the Rishalmi says, no, you cannot sacrifice one to spare the bunch. Can't do that. Shev al tas, sit passively. Hashem will take care of it. It's beyond Hashem. You don't hand anybody over to the Goyim. So how do they do it here? So the Chazon Ish says a big difference between handing over somebody or a person himself volunteering to make nefesh on behalf of the klal. Handing over somebody is a achzorius. You have no right to take a person handing to the goyim. But in this case, Pappus and Linus, they were tzaddikim. They volunteered. They came forward. That's different. That they could do. So what happened with these great tzaddikim? Says the Gemara, Amar lehem. So he turned to them and he said, Imi amay shel Chananya mishol v'azarya atem. He spoke in haughtiness. He says, look, if you're from the nation of Chananya, Mishol v'azarya, who were saved from the fiery furnace by Hashem, Hashem should come along and save you from my hands. Just as he saved them from Nebuchadnezzar. Let's see what happens. Amalai, they responded to him. They put him in his place. Look, big difference. You don't match up to Nebuchadnezzar. Who are you? Hanani, Mishal, Azariah. They were tzaddikim v'gemurim hayu. V'ru'in hayu l'aslam neis. They're worthy of experiencing a greatness. We're just plain people. That's number one. Number two, Nebuchadnezzar melech hagam haya. Nebuchadnezzar, he was a proper king. He had sincerity. V'roi l'asas neis al yadai. He was worthy of being a vehicle for Hashem's neis, bringing a great kiddush Hashem. Look at the Psukim Daniel. After that great event, he acknowledged Hashem's greatness, Hashem's mightiness. Although he wasn't the great best man, but far from it, but he had a measure of sincerity in him. As opposed to you're just a plain fellow. Voice a Russia, head you to. This Russia, you're a head yet, just a plain man. You're not worthy of having a nes happen through you. And us, we're not either worthy. For whatever avera we did, we are guilty. We're deserving of being put to death. You know what? If you don't kill us, Hashem has many, many ways, many means of killing us. Hashem has many bears and lions to use to apply punishment to us. Who could strike us, and kill us. You know why Hashem placed us in your hands? We are certain that Hashem will exact revenge on you. Hashem will be pireh, collect our dam. Meaning an animal sent by Hashem, he has no bechira. He's not punished for punishing a person. You have bechira. True, we're deserving. You have no business getting involved. Ava became, even though they gave him this powerful argument, Hargan, they killed him, miyad. Amru, what happened was, they didn't move, they didn't budge, meaning they weren't even buried yet. And look what happened. Ashabo diyufli miroimi. Suddenly, two officers arrived from Rome who had accounts to settle with this fellow, with this Taanis fellow. Upatzu asmoichai. They broke his head, b'gzirin, with clubs. So look, that was a tremendous hashgacha, tremendous kiddush Hashem. Although they suffered and they had to go through what they did, but the Maisa, Hashem showed who's boss. He was punished on the spot. This was a tremendous kiddush Hashem, a display of true hashgacha pratis, and that was enough to make that into a Yom Tov. Ein ga'izrun Taanis al atziva b'tchil b'chamish. Ein ga'izrun Taanis b't Rashi Chadash. So typically we try to avoid fasting on a Yom Tov, Rosh Chodesh, Chanukah, Purim. But if they started fasting, and for some reason they had to add more fast days because of a prolonged tzara, we continue. We don't cut off the fast, even though it interferes with Rosh Chodesh, Chanukah, Purim. Now, at what point is considered hischilu? V'kama haviyas. Rav Ach Amar Sholosh. Once they fasted 3 times, it's a chazaka, it's been established. You just keep on going, even though it might interfere with the Chanukah or with the Purim. Rav Asi Amar Achas, even one fast day is enough to be considered on track, and now you just continue adding fast days, even though it interferes with the Chanukah or the Purim. Rabbi Yehuda Kessler. You see, the Mishnah continues and says, even though you'll have to fast on a Yom Tov, you're mis'ana, but you're not mashlam. You don't complete it. Because that's how the takana, that's how the Taanis was established, lechatchila. It should be an incomplete fast day out of deference, out of cover to the Yom Tov. That's Divrei Rabbi Meir, she'ama mishum, Rabbi Gamliel. Ava chacham, I remember you meant to know, the chacham disagrees. Mis'ana umashlam. If you fast, do it all the way. No half fastings. Darash mazurta mishur darfuna. In fact, halacha is mis'ana umashlam. Hadrin halach. Say the Taanis Ketzer. Okay, so what do we learn in today's daf? We quoted Megillas Taanis, which mentioned 2 occasions, 2 reasons to celebrate from Aleph till Ches Nisan, when the Korban Tamid was reestablished properly. We had from Ches Nisan until after Pesach, when Chag HaShavuos was put back on track. We had a kasha. Why mention Aleph Nisan as a day of Yom Tov? In any case, it's Rosh Chodesh. To include Chavtes Adar, which is the day before Aleph Nisan. What do you mean? It's the day after Chav Ches Adar, which in itself was a Yom Tov, established because they were successful in canceling the Gzeira of the Romans. We had 3 Terutzim. What about a Chodesh Mu'ubar? An extra day there. So Chavtes Adar is true, is after Chav Ches, but Lamed Adar is already a day later. It's only celebrated because it's the day before Aleph Nisan. Second teretz, Chavtes Adar is now situated between 2 Yom Tovim. It gives it additional ma'ala, it's Asr Behesped as well. A third answer, if the first reason to celebrate will be batal, Chavches Adar's Yom Tov will be batal, you still have another reason to celebrate Aleph till Ches Nisan because of the Tamid, in which case it's going to include Chavtes Adar as well. In Megillas Taanis we have 2 categories of Yom Tovim. Some are Asr only b'Taanis, some are even more important, Asr b'Hesped as well. What are the days before and after? It's 4 shittas. According to Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, it's always mutter. According to Rabbi Meir, when it's only Isser Taanis, it's mutter. Isser Hesped, Lefanav is Asr as well. According to Rabbi Yasi, picks it up a notch. When it's Isser Taanis, it includes Lefanav. Isser Hesped, Lefanav Alachrav. According to Rabbi Yechanan, it's always Lefanav. Yud Beis Adar was Yom Tirainus. Yud Gimel Adar was Yom Niknar. And we learned that which means once they start a sequence of fast days, even if they see they have to add more, in which case it will run into a Yom Tov, like a Shchodesh, Chanukah, Purim, just continue fasting. And the halacha l'maisa is halacha mis'ane umashlam. All the best to you and Hatzlacha Rabbah.